We're going to look at the top scoring rookies from week 2. This is going to help you in redraft, prospecting out at your rookies, giving you confirmation bias. This is going to help you at Dynasty. You're going to be able to look at these rookies every week when we do this video. Look at the stats, look at the trends on some of these players. And also in deeper leagues, you may need to pick some of these guys up. Really depends on how deep your league is. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're going hot in the paint looking at these player lists. We're helping you set your lineups through these videos with the must start video that I have loaded up today. Go watch that. Ask your questions in the comments. On top of that, we're doing deep dives on these players so you can get the advanced analytics on the matchups and the player to help you make your decisions. Click that button, stop missing out. But we go looking at these rookies today, and we're looking at Marvin Harrison Jr., and he went off last week. After week 1, people were acting like he was going to be a bust. Then he comes out week 2, 8 targets at 38.1% target share, goes off for 29 PPR fantasy points, wide receiver 1, ran 92.3% of the routes, ran a lot of routes in week 1, 150 air yards in this matchup. He was getting deep balls. He was getting opportunities. Marvin Harrison Jr. is that guy. That's all I can say. He's that guy, and he's a rookie too, so it might be some games he's on, some games he's off when it comes to production. That's just how it's going to be. Also, Greg Dortch is good. Michael Wilson is good. They looked good in training camp. They're going to have matchups where they score as well, and they get the targets. They run the routes. This Cardinals offense is just going to be fun to watch this year. Just pay attention to Marvin Harrison Jr. Malik Nabers is balling out, and Danny Dimes is listening to him. He gave him 18 targets, 66.6% target share. Honestly, it should look like this every week. Daniel Jones should be just hamming it to him, just giving him all the targets. 27 routes, 90% route participation rate, which means he saw 18 targets on 27 routes, getting a good work rate. He should 208 air yards. Some wide receivers, it takes half a season to rack that up. 11.6 average depth of target. Wide receiver 3 for the week with 28.7 PPR fantasy points. He's a stud. Braelon Allen, week 2 production, not the Thursday night game. 32.4% opportunity share, 7 rushes, 4 targets, 13.8% target share. He's getting work in the passing game. That is the major note from this matchup. And then also in week 3 on Thursday, he's getting work in the passing game. He's getting used there, which means if something happens to Breece Hall, he's going to get the work, and he's going to be very valuable for fantasy football. He's also valuable right now as a handcuff plus. He's a handcuff that gets production, and it's going to be off and on due to him sharing the workload. But he's doing it. He's looking good. He should not have fell to the 4th round. And we're looking at Brock Bowers, one of the best tight ends in the league already. Tight end 3 last week, 18.8 PPR fantasy points, had 9 targets and a 25% target share. Back-to-back games with 25% target share. Ran a lot of routes. Saw some air yards in this matchup too. Had some deep targets. But again, he's going to be a stud going forward. He just is. He's just that good. We were watching him at Georgia ever since he started, broke out as a freshman. This is a generational talent at tight end. Brian Thomas Jr., just 11.4 PPR fantasy points, the wide receiver 28. 4 targets in this matchup, but we had an 8 out of 20. We brought in that deep ball, and sometimes that one deep ball is enough to save us, and he's going to be getting deep targets all season long, and he's going to splash in some matchups, and some matchups may be like this or a little bit lower. He is a rookie, but he's a very talented rookie, and I like this price in redraft. He was a round cheaper than like a Odunze or a McConkey, so you could really get him paired with like one of those dead zone running backs, and then I liked him in Dynasty in the middle of the 1st round because of the upside there at wide receiver. He was paired with a good quarterback. 1st round wide receiver. Jalen Polk starting to flash a tiny bit. Not in week 3, but these wide receivers of the Patriots are deployed kind of weird. They're all getting it at the same length, and it's just which wide receiver is going to get it because they're all running almost the same amount of routes. They're all getting targets here and there, and it's a slow-paced offense. So for fantasy, you're not really loving it, especially for redraft. In Dynasty, you're seeing that he's starting to get a little time out there. He's starting to show something with the routes. He's starting to show something with targets, but you can't go all in right now. But you do need to see some flashes, and you got a little flash here in week 2. Erick, we talked about him earlier this week in a Dynasty video. 4 targets, 11.8% target share, getting volume. And that means he could be getting volume later on down the road. This year, next year, year after. 7.2 PPR fantasy points. But again, deep leagues, dynasty leagues, you're looking at this as, hey, he's starting to flash a little bit. Maybe I make a move for him. Maybe I watch him on my team. Erick is starting to flash a little bit in Dynasty. Jermaine Burton, 2 targets, 5.9% target share, but an 8 out of 33. Deep ball city. He's starting to get integrated into the offense a little bit. Maybe later on down the line in the season, you might see him used a little bit more, but pay attention to him in all formats. For redraft, he's a deep ball city guy here. He's a guy that could get some targets later on down the road in the season. He's a guy to pay attention to as he gets acclimated to the offense. In Dynasty, you're just happy he's flashing a little bit. Had that big catch, had that big moment. But again, you're happy that he's starting to show off a little bit of those skills. Odunze, he is getting targeted. He is getting opportunities. But it's just not really working out for the Bears right now. DJ Moore's the guy to get, but he is running a lot of routes. He is on the field. A 12.6 ADOT with a 14.7% target share. He's wide receiver 56 in week 2. He's just a guy to pay attention to. He was banged up a little bit. Odunze just has 2 weeks on his career. The fact that he's running 45 routes in a game is actually very good for a young wide receiver. McConkey, 4 targets and a 21.1% target share. That told you a lot. That told you this is a slow-paced offense. He did get a 21.1% target share, back-to-back weeks of getting a good work rate. That being said, he's going to be heavily involved in this offense, so you're going to want to hold on to him and that he's getting work. 4.6 PPR fantasy points, so the points weren't there. Wide receiver 66 on the week, but it's still something to pay attention to because he's still getting used. And you're looking at the quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels getting you that rushing production, which is helping you a lot. Bo Nix is only good in the 2-minute drill, which makes sense because he likes to fire it underneath and over the middle. Caleb Williams, a little rough right now. It's a little rough right now, but we are only 2 games in. Don't go too crazy. Allow these guys to develop. We saw Drake May this week. We'll talk about him next week when we run the spreadsheets for these rookies. But looking at these rookies right now, weeks 1 and 2, we got a good rookie class. We got a good batch of wide receivers. And wide receivers, they're up and down anyways. We're starting to get some of the other tight ends not named Brock Bowers to flash a little bit. We're not hearing much of the running backs, but it wasn't a very strong running back class. But the wide receivers are the story of this year's class. They did not score too heavy this week, but on the top end, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Nabers got it done, and you're excited about that, but you kind of expected that. But we're going to get more wide receivers start to pop off as we get deeper into the season, as these wide receivers start to get acclimated more with their teams, and that's going to be interesting to watch as we work through this series. Let me know what rookies you got on your teams, what format it is. I want to hear about it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.